What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's going on with the economic calendar moving forward, and break down why tomorrow is going to be a very important day, as we have Jerome Powell himself giving a speech, not to mention more news about Tesla. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Mumu link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash. This offer ends very soon, so check it out before they run out in just 5 days. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the markets. So looking at Tesla, we look bullish overall as Tesla's respecting a very, very nice looking uptrend. And yes, there is potential for Tesla to reach the 270s within the next 2 to 3 weeks, approaching some big catalysts such as their deliveries and their robotaxi event. However, the issue is for tomorrow specifically, there's no guarantee we continue this run up as it depends on what Jerome Powell says. So whether or not he pumps the market depends on what he says and also other factors. So I want to talk about what those factors are first before I break down these charts. So the first thing worth mentioning is that tomorrow is going to be Thursday, September 26, 2024. Notice that 1 hour before the market opens, we have initial jobless claims data, continuing jobless claims, and lots of GDP numbers. The GDP growth rate quarter over quarter is coming out. This is going to be very important. We're expecting 3%. Then we also have the GDP price index right over here that's coming out. So look for GDP prices and GDP sales. So lots of GDP numbers to give us more insights of the strength of the economy, to look at how our growth is looking. And also with all these jobs numbers coming out, look for some volatility then. Those are going to be very significant, but the thing that's going to affect the market more is going to be Jerome Powell. So when does he start his speech? 1 hour before open, we have some data. Then also before the market opens, we have more stuff coming out. At 9:10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Collins and Kugler from the Fed giving speeches. Then at 9:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that's 10 minutes before the US stock market opens, wherever you guys are around the world. 10 minutes before open, we have Jerome Powell starting his speech. Whatever this guy says could shake the markets. Never forget that. He is known as being the biggest market maker, and whatever he says could cause a big pump or a big rug pull for the markets going into tomorrow. Now, it's going to be the first time that Jerome Powell speaks tomorrow, a little bit before market open, since we got him giving his speech after FOMC. Now, what's he going to say? Like, I don't truly know exactly what he will say, but I can tell you this: the last couple of times when he spoke, the market did pump, and it's possible he tries to pump the markets again. However, it's not a guarantee until we hear what he has to say, so always be open-minded. If Jerome Powell is very ambiguous and he says the Fed has to wait on the data, they have to be very patient, and he says the same old things he usually says, that might not be as good for the markets, because it could lead to a shift in what the market prices in. Because when he gives his speech, okay, if he's very, very ambiguous and he keeps saying like the same things, this bar right here can actually start going down a little bit, and then this one could start going up. That would mean the market may be favoring a 25 basis point cut instead if Jerome Powell is not as confident. But if he does the opposite, if Jerome Powell gives a speech and instead he's very, very confident, he starts saying that the Fed is making a lot of progress, inflation's going down a lot, they're doing a great job, and he implies there's more cuts to come before the end of the year, this could be more and more bullish for the markets. He could cause this bar to start actually coming down a bit, and then this one to start going up instead. So if this one goes up instead, this would imply that the market's more confident in a 50 basis point cuts again in November, and that could be bullish for the markets. So if he's ambiguous, if he's uncertain, he gives the same speech as usual, might not be that great for the markets. But if he maintains his whole stance that the whole economy is doing well, the data looks good, and he implies there's more cuts to come, the market could love that, and the market could still see a nice rally. We will see what he has to say. Does he still say the same things about how they're going to be making their moves meeting over meeting? Or does he say something to pump the markets? It all depends on this guy's mouth. Whatever he says, will either pump or dump the markets. So be ready for tomorrow. It's going to be very, very important. Right now, greed is making up the majority of sentiments, and we have momentum currently at greed right now as the market's holding up very well. On top of this, the market is greedy in terms of its put and call option positioning, because we're starting to see a lot more of these puts being closed, more calls being bought as the bulls are stepping in. The VIX is at some key supports, so we'll see if it bounces or not. Lastly, for the overall market, just know that for tomorrow we have Costco's earnings tomorrow after the market closes. So if you're interested in playing this, you guys can check it out. Here are the other earnings coming out if you're interested in playing them, but that's it for the broader markets. Some news about Tesla. I went over all of this in the daytime. I want to go over this again. Kia is joining the EVs to get access access to the supercharger network for Tesla starting next year. What's good is, yes, this is going to give Tesla a lot more revenue, but what's not so good is the fact that this is going to lead to Tesla needing to keep up with the amount of demand, excuse me, the amount of demand for their supercharger network. So that's going to be very important. Tesla needs to once again build more supercharger stations. They have to prepare for a lot more demand for their products. It's going to get more revenue, but that's very important. On top of this, we had some bullish news. RBC Capital analyst Tom Narayan has come out. He's saying that he's increasing his Tesla delivery view to 460,000. That's bullish news. Piper Sandler is saying that Tesla could be reaching $310 a share, which is bullish. And then we also have Barclays saying that Tesla could be reaching Q3 deliveries totaling 470,000. And that's very, very bullish news. Despite the weaker sales in Europe, they're thinking that the US and China will kind of like offset that. There's a very, very good chance that that could be happening. That's good news for Tesla, in my personal opinion. For other pieces of news out there, I just want to say that there's been some talk about how Tesla is sending invites to the Robotaxi unveiling. Very, very awesome stuff. We're just about a little bit over 2 weeks away from this. Can't wait. It's going to be another major catalyst. I just want to say that right now, Cantor Fitzgerald gave Tesla a neutral rating, kind of in the middle. They've been reiterating this for the last couple of days, so it's kind of funny. But other banks out there like JP Morgan remain bullish. So do other analysts from like Barclays. They remain more bullish on Tesla. Looking at other factors, Tesla is doing quite fine. It's holding up quite well. In terms of seasonality, let me just reload this real quick. Let me actually talk about this first before I talk about that. Volume is also at 65 million, so that's a little bit below average, and short volume is going up just a little bit. There's more shorting going on in Tesla. And just know that right here, seasonality is telling us that we have a tendency of being green about 48% of the time on Thursdays. It's not the strongest day for Tesla historically. October also tends to be a weaker month, but that's going to be dependent on the big catalysts. And then we tend to see more volatility at 9 a.m. and also at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that being said, guys, that is enough about all of the data. Let's just focus on the charts from this point on. What are the charts telling us about Tesla and etc.? So once again, guys, we look bullish. It looks like Tesla is going to be pushing to 270 over the next couple of weeks. I think it's still bullish. However, I just want to say that we are approaching a very, very tough resistance. Tesla is kind of like in a tough area around 257.5 to 260. It's going to be a tough resistance zone. We also have support at 255. If that fails us, we're looking for 252, followed by 250. So if we're bearish, just hypothetically, okay, let me just go over the hypotheticals, then I'll talk about what I think is going to happen. If we get a rug pull thanks to Jerome Powell, you want to see us lose 250. If 250 fails us, we could be dipping for 248, then 244, which is where we got the breakout area. So 248 and 244 are the targets if we lose 250, if Tesla gets a rug pull. If we're bullish, you want to see Tesla try to break above 260, which is going to be kind of tricky. If 257.5 breaks, then 260 is the next target. We could be a little bit more bullish there. But if 260 itself breaks, Tesla's going up to like 262, 265, and much higher levels. What do I think is going to happen? Now, I think tomorrow Tesla is going to open it's not going to open, but like during the pre-market when that starts, we're going to be a little bit lower. We're going to dip a little bit to 255. And then when Jerome Powell starts his speech 10 minutes before open, it all depends on him. Now, he could pump us back up to 260, and there's a good chance that's going to happen. I want to mention the last couple of times when the guy spoke, the market did pump, and he's been very optimistic about the economy, and the market likes that. So the odds are favoring us kind of like starting off a little bit weak, then getting a pump thanks to Powell to 260, then possibly consolidating after that. I think that's the most likely case, but honestly, guys, I'm not a fortune teller. I don't know for sure what Jerome Powell is going to say, but there's a good chance we're going to be doing something just like that. I also want to call out that on the daily time frame, Tesla's holding up very well. It looks like it's very bullish and it could go higher for that 260 area. So Jerome Powell may pump this a little bit higher for 260 and maybe a little bit above that before it starts to consolidate. That is the most likely case. If I'm wrong, you want to see it lose 250 and then this will start dipping. But once again, always know your levels just to be safe. SPY is holding up well, but we're at some tough resistance between 570 and 572. I warned you guys about this a couple of days ago. Now, there is something bullish about SPY I want to talk about. So notice that SPY has had a tendency of trying to bounce off its very, very key 20 EMA. We broke the 20 EMA here, and then we bounced and bounced and bounced and bounced very, very nicely. So it's holding its key supports, and it looks more bullish. But if we're bearish, we're going to be watching to see the support break. If Jerome Powell gives us the rug pull, you want to see SPY lose 568. If that fails us, we go down to 565. If Jerome Powell pumps the markets, you want to see us break past. We want to hold above 570 and start pushing for 572. If that breaks, we're looking for 574 to 575. In my opinion, I think that we're trying to hold our 20 EMA very nicely, and we favor a move for 572. This is looking more bullish as we're holding support, so the odds favor us pushing for the 572 area. I could be wrong about that, but it looks more favorable considering that Jerome Powell has been pumping the markets and the fact that we're holding support so far. We haven't officially lost 568 on SPY to turn bearish, so there's no sign of that, so we can't be bearish yet. We have to wait for confirmation. But this chart still favors upside as I speak. For ES, we're looking at the 20 EMA. If Jerome Powell gives us the rug pull, you want to see us lose 57.75, the 20 EMA, the green line here. Notice that we touched this, bounced, touched it, bounced off, and we're holding it very nicely so far. If we lose this support at the 20 EMA, we come all the way down to 57.50 or below. Now, if we break out, you want to see us break past 5,800 to turn bullish, and this will be looking for new highs. 58.25, for example, will be the next target. This chart is favoring upsides for holding support, and Jerome Powell has had a history for the last couple of times of pumping the markets. So let's favor a pump tomorrow, but just to be safe, we will see what Jerome Powell says. I don't know for sure, so we'll just have to wait and see. We have 125 as resistance. We have a nice inverse head and shoulders on Nvidia, so this chart looks more bullish. If we break 125, we're looking for 128. If you get the rug pull, you want to see it lose 122 to start dipping for 120 and 118. In my opinion, the chart looks more bullish from a technical standpoint, is favoring the upwards direction. So this is favoring 128 plus, in my personal opinion. For Bitcoin, Bitcoin is dipping right now. We're looking for basically 62,500 is our support. If that fails us, we're going to be dipping all the way down towards 62,000. And we break past 63,500, we're looking for a big bounce. This is going to likely be dipping to 62,500 before it tries to rebound. So watch and see what Bitcoin does from here. You want to be open-minded, but look for a little bit of a dip before it tries to rebound. We will see if Jerome Powell gives us that rebound or not. For other tickers out there, just know that Tesla could be also dictated by the markets. So it's not just about Tesla, but it's also about the market. One more thing I want to mention about Tesla. Tesla is very sensitive to interest rates. So when Jerome Powell gives us insights about them cutting more, doing less, it's going to have a big, profound effect on Tesla. That's why it's very important for Tesla investors to know what Jerome Powell is telling us, because the monetary policy affects Tesla a lot in their sales. For NQ, we look bullish. We're holding the 20 EMA. We're bouncing off our 20 EMA. It's very simple. If we hold above this level, we break past 20,250. We're looking for 20,400 as that's previous support becoming resistance up here. 20,400 around there is going to be our next target. If we lose 20,000, we're looking for 19,800 or below. So far, the chart is favoring upside for 20,400, but just to be safe, we will see what the big guy Jerome Powell says. The QQQ, we look more bullish. Now, if we were to lose 482, I'm going to be concerned of 480, then the gap fill down to 475 if that fails us. As long as we hold support, we favor upside for 490. The QQQ has a very important structure on the daily. When you look at the daily time frame, look at the QQQ because we have this resistance around 488. If that breaks, we're looking for this test of 490, followed by the gap fill all the way up to like the mid 490s for a nice rally. So will we rally and break past 488 and 490, or will we end up getting a rug pull and lose 485 to start dipping back down towards 482 or below? In my opinion, I think this is looking more bullish. From a technical standpoint, we're holding support nicely. We're bouncing very, very well. We got a strong close and we're pushing during the after hours. This is favoring 490 plus. I can't guarantee that. Depends on Jerome Powell, but it looks more favorable in my personal opinion. On Aapl, we have a nice flag that's forming. If you look at like this could lead to a nice breakout. If Aapl breaks 227 tomorrow, we're looking for a push for 228 and 230. If we're bearish, you want to see us lose 224 to start dipping for 222. Because we're holding the structure nicely, we do favor a push for 228 plus. So this is looking a lot more bullish to me in terms of its structure. We haven't officially broken out yet, but it looks like we might try to bounce on Aapl. We'll see if Jerome Powell gives us that pump or not. For a few more now, let's talk about Palantir. If Palantir is bullish, you want to see it try to break past. We basically want to break past this resistance at 37.5, start a push into 38. If we end up losing 36.5, we could be tipping back down to 35.8. We're holding up very, very well. We're doing a very, very good job so far. So I think there's a good chance this continues to pump. Now, we could be looking for 38 plus. This imbalance could fill, but we'll see if that ends up being the case on the 4-hour time frame. In my opinion, Palantir remains bullish nonetheless, and there's a good chance it tries to continue. We will see if that ends up being the case, but Jerome Powell will be the big factor determining that. For Supermicro, we have support currently around 455. If we hold that, we're looking for a rebound for 470. If we lose 455, we're going to be dipping all the way down to this imbalance, taking us down to 434. I think the odds favor is trying to hold this, and we're going to try to push for 470 plus. So this chart looks more bullish to me. For Rivian, we've been dumping so far. We're looking at 11 as our main support. If that fails us, we're looking for 10.5. And then we could be looking for a bounce after that if that ends up holding. This depends on Jerome Powell. As of right now, we look more bearish, and I think we could be approaching the 10s, 10.5 before we try to rebound. So far, it remains more bearish, and we'll see what happens after Powell's speech. For SoFi, the structure is a little bit more bearish. We have an imbalance to fill down around 7.6. If we break 7.9, we're going to be looking for the 8s. And if we end up losing support, we're looking for 7.6 as our support to watch for. My guts tells me this is going to be dipping for 7.6 before it tries to bounce. Look for a little bit more downside, then we'll see how we end up moving at least from here. For the IWM, we look a little bit more bearish. I just want to say that this could actually dip right here. We have an imbalance around 216, but we did bounce off that like 2 times. So we might dip a little bit closer to 216 during the pre-market. And then during Jerome Powell's speech, he's either going to launch this back to the 220s or he might cause a bigger rug pull all the way down to 214. Will we bounce off 216 to go up to 220, or do we end up dipping to 214 or below? That's going to depend on what Jerome Powell says. For AMD, we look more bullish. This is favoring 165 or higher. If that breaks, we're looking for basically an imbalance fill for 170. If we end up failing right over here, we're looking for support around 160 flat, then 157. This chart is favoring upside for 165 or higher. I think there's a good chance it continues to push, so we'll see if that ends up being the case. For ARM, we look a little bit more bullish. We look like we want to be testing 150 very soon. We also have support around 144. Looking at the accumulation structure right here, we look more bullish. And I think this is favoring 150 to 152. So it looks more bullish to me. We'll see if Jerome Powell helps. Coinbase is looking a little bit weaker right now. We have 165 as a key level. If we don't hold above 167, we're looking for 165. If we break past 168, we're looking for 172. My gut tells me this might be dipping closer to 165, and we'll see if we get a bounce or not off of this. So be very, very patient. For Amzn, we're dipping right over here. We're going to be looking for 191.5. This might dip to 191.5 for this bounces. We're looking for 195. If this fails us, we're going to be dipping back down to 190. I think we might be dipping a little bit lower for 191.5 than we could see if we bounce or not. So be very, very patient, and we'll see how things end up going from here. Look for a dip, and we'll see if we bounce. So be very, very patient nonetheless. Meta is doing a good job at holding up. We have this resistance around this 570 area. If that breaks, we're looking for 575. If this fails, we're looking for basically 562. We're in the middle, so give this the time it needs. We'll see if we try to break past 570 or not. Otherwise, Meta remains more bullish. It's holding up nicely, so I think it favors upside a bit more, but we'll see if that ends up being the case. For Microsoft, we look more bullish. If we break past 432, we're looking for a big pump for 434. And if we lose 428, we could be dipping back down. This is favoring that it wants to push up higher for 437 or all the way back up towards these imbalances. It looks like it wants to break out, but just to be safe, we have to wait for Powell's speech. So we'll see what he causes. Microsoft has potential. Google, on the other hand, has a head and shoulders. So this is a little bit weak looking. If we don't hold above 163, we're at risk of coming down to 161, then 160. If we break above 163, we could be looking for a bounce for 164.8. Look a little bit more bearish. It might dip a little bit more with the head and shoulders, so be careful with Google. But nonetheless, it's doing a good job, and I think that it hasn't officially lost its main support yet. So we're just going to have to wait and see what this does after Powell's speech. I do want to warn you, there's a head and shoulders on Google, so be open-minded just to be safe. For DJT, we're finally bouncing. As long as we hold above 13.8, we could be on our way back up to 15, 15.4 to 15. If we fail at 13.8, we could be dipping back down to 12.5. Overall, it looks a little bit more bullish, so the 15s are very possible. The VIX is kind of dipping right now. It's on a bit of a downtrend, so we'll see if we bounce off 15 or not. But overall, the downtrend remains and it depends on Powell. The 10-year Treasury yield depends on Powell. Will he pump it or dump it? Depends on what he says. And then the dollar is at resistance. If it gets a big break of 101, this could start pushing and this could be bearish for the markets. If it gets a rejection off 101 after Jerome Powell's speech, if he causes this to dump, that could be a sign the market's going to continue to pump. With that being said, that's pretty much it for my video. I just want to say I really appreciate you guys so much for listening. Tesla looks bullish overall. It looks very, very nice. The structure on Tesla looks very, very beautiful. But the issue we have is whether this pump perpetuates depends on some data, the GDP numbers and initial jobless claims, and also Jerome Powell's speech before the market opens. I am not a fortune teller. I don't know for sure what he's going to say, but I can tell you what I think is very probable, and that's what I did in this video. So I hope you guys have a good day, night, or evening, wherever you guys are around the world, and you guys have a very, very good time, at least for the night. Just know that I'll be back tomorrow before the market opens to report on how things are looking. And then when Jerome Powell starts his speech, we'll be watching to see what kind of reaction we get. So be ready, guys. Hopefully, you guys took my warning that I released earlier today about how his speech was coming and to be prepared for it. And until I see you guys again, I just want to say I really appreciate the community. I thank you guys so much for watching my videos. Please smash the like button if you like this video, and I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow for another update before the market opens. Tesla to the moon because the long term is still very, very bright. No matter what happens tomorrow, I can't wait for their deliveries and the robotaxi event very soon. And I'm very, very confident in Tesla's future nonetheless because we're looking very, very nice. All right. Thank you for listening and peace out.